we're going to create a opt-in form, right? A very, very basic opt-in form. So they go on your website and they're able to submit their phone number, their email, and their name, right? This is like one of the most typical things to do for your website, is to collect information from your visitors, right? So essentially, I'm going to integrate an opt-in form on this landing page. Now, I've done this already myself. I already have an opt-in system set up, and there's like multiple steps to this as well. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to make this as simple and as easy to do as possible, so you kind of get the idea of how this is all put together, right? And as quickly as possible. So anyways, right now we're here on my WordPress site, and hopefully you've used WordPress before. If not, then you're gonna have to go through some tutorials as well. I do have tutorials on YouTube for WordPress usage. So if you want to check that out, you'd go on YouTube and you go to PPC Basic and you would type in 4.0. So the 4.0 tutorials is when you start to learn how to actually set up your website in general. But for this presentation, we're simply going to go ahead and assume that you've already set up your WordPress. And then once you're there, you want to go ahead and go into your dashboard. So on the top left here, we're going to dashboard. And this is your backend, right? This is the stuff that the person visiting your site doesn't see. And we're going to go ahead and go down into plugins, and we're going to install a new plugin. And the plugin that we want to do, so we're going to go ahead and add a new plugin. And plugins are just like extensions for your browser, right? They just give you extra capabilities for your browser, essentially. And we're going to go ahead and type in, I believe it's WP code. So in the extension or plugin that we want to add is called WP code. And then all you have to do is simply select install now. So it'll look like this kind of button, install now. And once you do that, you'll get the activate. So then you activate it. And then once it's been activated, we're going to go down into code snippets. So now that the plugin has been activated, you're going to go down into code snippets, which should be available in your menu. Right, so we're going to go into code snippets, and here is where we're going to start implementing our code. This is where we're going to start copying and pasting the code that the AI is going to generate for us. So here we already have two pieces of code created. Last week we created Rajesh's sitemap creator for Search Console, and that was like a little mini thing. You can see this little green item right here. That was the script or the little solution we created last week. So for this week, we're going to create a new one. So we're going to go ahead and select Add New. And we're going to go ahead and select Add Custom Snippet. And then once we're there, we simply select a PHP snippet. All right, so for our title, for our snippet or our little app, I'm simply going to name it Leo's email and phone opt-in, right? Something super basic, just to get like the understanding of what we're working on, right? And then we're going to go ahead and start getting the AI to program for us. So I'm going to go back into my web browser here, and I'm going to go into ChatGPT. And for this, let's first have a little conversation with it, and we're going to kind of flesh out the idea that we want to do. So I want to build a WordPress plugin, simple opt-in, name, name, phone number, USA phone numbers, just to be more specific, and email, and a submit button, right? And then it should also, I want it to have a short code. So it's like a little piece of code you can put on your website, and then it'll basically show that opt-in. So that's what a short code does, as well as and a full admin dashboard, right? Name it Leo's email and phone opt-in. There we go. So actually, I skipped the whole like thinking about it because I know how this is done, but it's a very simple prompt, right? You're essentially just telling it like you would a typical employee, and you tell it like, look, this is what I want to build, right? I want to build this thing. Just program it for me. And now it's going to essentially Okay, I want to build blah, blah, blah. So it's drop this into a single PHP file. So then it starts to program for us, right? And while it's essentially is going to program us the code, like the full code that we have to copy and paste, I have to do a quick modification so that it works for us by copying and pasting it. So firstly, we're going to wait for it to fully paste here. All right, part this, yeah, there we go. Almost done. And eventually, as time goes on, this code will get printed faster and faster simply because of AI, like the technology is advancing rapidly. The code will get better and better. Like you're going to have some like really beautiful interfaces that being produced. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to simply take what's given to us. And you can see it's like literally just printing the entire code for us. We don't even, it's like the analogy that I always give is that you want to write poetry in Mandarin, in Chinese, but you don't want to learn Mandarin, not even like at a grade school level, because you want to write a book in Mandarin at a PhD level, right? But you don't want to learn Mandarin because it's going to take too much time. So basically you just talk to the AI and you tell it, hey, write me a book in Mandarin PhD level and make it good, right? So still going, very cool. It's basically like developing us a full-blown, almost like a full-blown plugin here. Let's actually go back to our dashboard and we'll explore the previous plugin that we created. So last week we did Rajesh's SEO, and Rajesh's SEO, what we did is and it created a sitemap, right? So a sitemap simply lists all of the posts and the pages on your site, and then you take that sitemap and you give it to Google, right? You give it to Google Search Console or Bing Webmaster, and then eventually within like about a couple days to maybe a week or two, your site gets listed organically for free on Google, right? So that's what we essentially produced last week, and you can see it produced less like the settings tabs. So at the top we can see the different settings that we have. So the pages we want to basically list in our sitemap to send it to Google. We have the posts that we want to list as well. And then obviously settings here as well. So various settings. And this was all done within almost like a single prompt. So basically a single message to the AI to do it for us, right? So now let's go ahead and see how far we got. Still going. Okay, perfect. So it's programmed us this code, wants me to add reCAPTCHA. No, we don't want that. And we're going to go ahead and take all of this code. So this is with ChatGPT, right? But at any given time, the AIs are all kind of competing against each other. So if you use Claude, if you use ChatGPT, if you use Grok, if you use, DeepSeek, you can use whatever model you want because they're all really, really good right now at programming. So we're going to take our code that it created for us. We're going to go back to our code snippets. We're going to add a snippet here, and we're going to simply paste it. Now, what I told you guys previously is that it might not necessarily paste properly because I had to indicate that we're going to paste it into WP code, but we're going to test it out. So if there's a bug, we're going to fix that too using AI. So I'm going to go ahead and I pasted it in and then run everywhere. It's fine. And we're going to save the snippet. Okay. And we're going to activate. So I'm going to click that, activate. And boom, here we go. On the left side here, all of a sudden, you have Leo's opt-in. So if I deactivate it, right, no Leo's opt-in. If I activate, boom, Leo's opt-in. I'm going to go ahead and click on it and see what settings it gave us. Okay, perfect. So we can clearly see, okay, so here's the two options it's giving us, right? Notification email. So if someone opts in, we're going to get this notification to our email address. And we're going to be able to see the submissions. Now, what we can see at the top here right away is that there's some errors going on, right? So right away, the code wasn't written properly. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And so database error, I'm going to copy this whole thing right here. And I'm going to go back into our ChatGPT. And actually, I'm going to paste that. And it's going to basically fix our code. Now, I hope it doesn't rewrite the entire code from scratch so that we don't have to wait for the entire thing to write again. So instead, what I'm going to go to is I'm going to go to my favorite coding agent, my favorite coding AI, and I'm going to basically use that to fix our code. So I'm in the code snippets once more. I'm going to take this. Instead of using ChatGPT, I'm going to use Claude. So right now, Claude is the better agent at the better AI for writing actual code. All right, we don't want that. We don't want that. Close that. And we pasted that in, and I'm going to paste in the errors as well. So because what they discovered is that more than 80% of searches through the AI models were just for coding. It was just literally like 80% of queries, 80% of searches, 80% of conversations with AI was someone wanting to code their system, right? So Claude right away said, you know what? Let's focus all of our attention on making the best coding agent possible. So in this case, it's basically going to fix our code and make sure it works properly. But, obviously, this is going to take a little bit of time as well. So, yeah. Any questions thus far as this? And has anybody actually coded before using AI? Out of curiosity.
I did use the cloud for landing pages.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that is better right now.
There is better, or not sure what you meant.
I mean, I'm using cloud coding for landing pages.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. So basically, anything that needs coding, landing pages, short codes, etc., can all be done using Claude. It can be done using ChatGPT. It can be done using Grok, and they're all really good. But like you said, Claude right now is the best one. And so, as you can see, is still programming because they've specifically optimized their AI to be a really, really good programmer because they noticed that like that's where the conversations were with the AI, and that's where the money's at. So they said, you know what, let's not just answer like medical questions, or let's not answer like life questions or psychology questions. Let's just focus on building the best coder possible. So in that case, you wanted to use a Claude AI. Now, keeping in mind that the AIs are advancing very, very rapidly, so maybe even by next week, Google's going to have the better model, right? Or the week after is going to be Grok. So um, essentially, we're all brand agnostic. We don't care which AI we use as long as it programs the best. Like everything just works right off the bat. It programs quickly. Everything just works, and it just produces the best code. So we can see he's still programming. I mean, in this case, we're literally programming something that's like is not just producing a simple little link where we get the sitemap, for example. In this case, it's producing a full-blown plugin, essentially. And when you do this, you're going to be basically spending lots and lots of hours having the AI generate the code for you. So this is, I mean, on the one hand, it simplifies it to the extremely simplifies it, but on the other hand, you're like sitting there for hours on end just getting like the code produced essentially and making sure that everything works at the same time. So anyways, we got the Claude code. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in, and I'm just going to assume that everything's going to work right off the bat. So that's good. And let's go back to Leo's opt-in, and there we go. So we have this part where it shows the entries, but I'm actually not sure what the shortcode is to introduce it into our website. So what is the shortcode that I use? All right, on my WordPress page. So it's not actually telling us what okay, so there we go. Leo's opt-in, or Leo get a free quote. Okay, I like that one. So it even introduced looks like Claude crashed. Interesting. Okay. So we're going to get a free quote, and I'm going to go back to my site here, and I'm going to create a new page, and I'm simply going to paste it in. Right. So there we go. Leo get a free quote. I don't really care about the template here in this case. I'm just going to simply get this running on our page. So opt in testing. And let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Okay. You are really amazing. And boom, there we go. You have your very own get a free quote name, phone number, email, submit. Now, just for fun, let's produce a landing page with our opt-in shortcode.